watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like the video and share it if you can. Again, we've been seeing some great engagement recently, so please comment down below as well. Let us know what you think about predictions, previews, our reviews of the game, and so on. And for those of you listening on Spotify, Apple, or any other podcasting platform, please follow and give us a 5-star review. It really helps us with the algorithms and getting us in front of more listeners. Let's get on to the game week 1 previews. We got Man United's first week against Fulham, which will be an interesting one. Hopefully Emil Smith-Rowe will play that game. And that's at home at Old Trafford. And then you've got Arsenal playing Wolves without Pedro Neto, which is good for us. And that is also at home for us as well. So that's at the Emirates. So we'll start off with Man United. We'll start off with you, Ant. Man United Fulham, first game of the season. Obviously, Fulham missing some pretty key players now. Obviously, in João Palhinha missing, but they've made some pretty good signings. So they are going to look somewhat of a different outfit to last season, but got a good manager. And you guys obviously coming off a pretty good performance against City in the Community Shield. So how do you think this game's going to go, mate? Who do you think is going to be the better team? What do you think the score's going to be? Who do you think some of your star players are going to be? Do you think De Ligt and Mazraoui will get in the team? Will be on the bench? Like, give me a full rundown of the game, mate.
Yeah, so this is the curtain raiser for the Premier League as well, by the way. This is on Friday night under the lights. I remember, I think a couple of seasons back, didn't you guys also... You were in the curtain raiser away at Brentford or something, and it was horrible. So I think we're lucky that we've got a home fixture to kick off the season, because otherwise, I think away at Fulham on Friday night to kick off the season would have been a bit dodge. I could have seen us flopping that a bit, but at home I feel confident. After that performance, I feel confident, and I feel like we're quite lucky with our fixtures for this initial game, because while I do think Fulham are good. And I agree with you, Marco Silva's a good coach and they play decent football. They've lost some key players. And the players they've brought in Smith-Rowe, they've brought in Ryan Sessegnon, and they've brought in someone called George Cuenca from Villarreal. Those are the only 3 signings they've made. Now, I think only the Smith-Rowe one goes directly into the team, because I think Anthony Robertson's a better left-back than Sessegnon. I've never heard of Cuenca, so... I would imagine Calvin Bassey's ahead of him because I like Calvin Bassey. He's a good player. But they've lost Palhinha. They've lost Tosin. They've probably lost a few other players as well. So I actually think this is a good time to play Fulham. And even though they beat us at Old Trafford, I think last season, and it was a super infuriating game where Iwobi scored with a last-minute counter-attack, I think this game will go differently. And I feel like De Ligt will go in the team. And probably Mazraoui will go in there as well, to be honest. And either him or Delo will play left back. So we'll have a bit of a changed team in defence. But I'm hoping it doesn't impact it too much. And it's probably a nice welcome to the Premier League game for both of those guys. Because when you think of Fulham, they don't really have marauding wingers. I know they could play Adama Traore, and it could get a bit physical. And I am bricks a bit imagining Mazraoui against Adama Traore.
Old baby oiled up old Adama Traore, yeah.
That's not a welcome you want to the Premier League. So they might need to switch it and put Delo on him. Wherever Traore goes, put Delo on him just so Mazraoui can avoid him. Just generally speaking, I think we'll have a lot of the ball. Hopefully, we'll be able to see some more patterns of play. And yeah, I'm really positive, man, because even though we got pumped by Liverpool 3-0 in the friendly, we were decent in that game too, and we created lots of chances. So it's 2 back-to-back games where we've played generally quite well. Unfortunately, the result hasn't gone our way, so I'm hoping third time's a charm, and we're going to get the win against Fulham. And we kind of need to as well, because our next 2 fixtures afterwards are pretty difficult. We've got Brighton away and then Liverpool at home in game week 2 and game week 3, so we really need to get 3 points on the board with this. So I'm hopeful. I saw a lot of positive signs. The only thing I will say is Ten Hag's got some big calls. Because Garnacho obviously came off the bench and looked really good, scored his goal. We looked really dangerous. Ahmad started and looked very dangerous. What do you do? Because you've got 2 genuine alternatives to Rashford now. or you could put Rashford up top. And I think that's probably what he might do. I think Ten Hag might fall out and he might bottle it and put Rashford up top and Ahmad right and Garnacho left, because it looks like Xerxes being eased into things. Apparently, he played a game behind closed doors earlier this week after the Community Shield, so that was the reason why he didn't feature. Apparently, so who knows? There's a chance, I guess, he could start as well. But I think probably conventional wisdom would say he's probably going to play Rashford up top, Garnacho on the left, and Ahmad on the right. And the only slight deviation could be, unfortunately for Ahmad, he could be dropped, and then you could see some sort of Bruno false nine situation going on with Rashford on the left and Garnacho on the right. But I hope it's the former. I hope he's bold. I hope he rewards Ahmad for his good performances. And I think, to be honest, if we go with that team, or even if we don't, I think we're going to get the win. So I'm going to go for Man United to win 3-1 against Fulham. But I think it will be a good, fun game. I think Fulham will have, a few chances too, but I'm hopeful it's not going to be, 15, 20 shots on goal. And I hope we're able to stay tight, and I hope we see a continuation of the two in midfield. So we saw it with Casemiro and Kobe sitting a bit deeper in that Community Shield game and not really bombing forward. And I hope we see the same thing. And I hope that's a pattern we see going forward. But yeah, I'm going to go Man U 3-1.
Interesting. I think I'm probably going to go for... I'm going to go for 2-1 Man United win. I think it will be difficult because Fulham, they play with a lot of energy. And I think one of the things that they can really do is they can press high and suffocate you sometimes and really catch you not paying attention, essentially, and they can kind of rush you. They kind of play like a siege mentality, kind of blitz type of thing, where they just come at you really quickly, physically knocking you over, doing this, that, and the other. And I think it can be a really rough night against them. And I'm speaking from what they did to us last season. Obviously, as you said, defensively, they're a kind of different outfit now to what they were last season. Obviously losing João Palhinha is a major loss to their defense. And then obviously Tosin as well, one of the 1,000 Chelsea signings that have been made this transfer window. I think they could suffer a little bit defensively, but I still think they've got a lot of that kind of tricky pace and a really good work rate from that team. And I think their manager really gets them doing the simple things well, and everyone's really working as a team. So I think they can be a really tough match. So I'm going to go for 2-1 Man United win. I think it's going to be a hard-fought victory, but I think you will sneak it and you will manage to get your 3 points for the first match of the new season. But yeah, let's move on to Arsenal versus Wolves then. As I kind of mentioned before, no Pedro Neto for Wolves now, but they're still a pretty good team, right? They're still, man for man, a good team. They've got good players. Sometimes can't put things together. Their tactics sometimes think a bit, and they can default to kind of a defensive type of mode, which isn't really all that interesting to watch, particularly with some of the real ballers they've got on the ball. And obviously, I massively jinxed old Cunha last season, and then he just started slapping goals in for fun. So knowing my luck, he will go and really make me eat it and score against us in this game. But I think overall, Arsenal, you'll see a very similar lineup to a lot of what you saw last season. As I've said before, we haven't really bought that many people, so I don't expect us to see, like crazy changes to the lineup. I think it's going to be a very similar defense that you might have seen last season. I think you're obviously going to see Gabriel and Saliba continuing with White on the right-hand side. I'm not really sure about that left-back position. I think, I've seen some of the friendlies that we've played. I think Zinchenko started and kind of got taken off at half-time against Bayer Leverkusen. I think for Lyon or against Lyon, we also started Zinchenko and he got taken off in the 64th minute. So I would imagine he's probably going to start again, which always worries me. And then it looks like we'll start Rice, Partey, Odegaard, and possibly Havertz, depending on whether Jesus is fit in the kind of midfield positions. And then I'm thinking we'll probably start with Martinelli and Saka on the left and right wing. And then, as I said, with the striker, it'll either be Jesus or Havertz, essentially. there's an outside chance that Trossard might also start instead of Martinelli as well. But I think Martinelli will probably end up getting the nod. He was decent against Lyon, got taken off in the 78th minute. I think he will see more favour at the beginning of the season. I think, Arteta will continue to give him a chance after what he did the season before last. So it should be a good Arsenal team. I don't think Calafiori will start. I think he will be on the bench. And I think we'll kind of ease him into it. But I think outside of that, we should have enough to get through Wolves. So I'm going to say we're going to win. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. I think we're going to do the same that we did to Lyon. I think we're going to win 2-0. I don't necessarily think it'll be Saliba and Gabriel to be the ones that score, but but I wouldn't mind if they did, because I've defo got Gabriel in my fantasy Premier League team. So, but yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-0 Arsenal win. What about you, Ant?
Yeah, so I think it'll be a bit easier for you guys actually, because I'm looking at some of the transfers Wolves have done, and they haven't really done anything, in the transfer window. They've bought a few players, but they look like young players. So they've obviously brought Tommy Doyle back from Man City on a permanent. I think he'll probably play, because I think he did quite well for them last season. So he's a good up and coming midfielder. But then they bought just a couple of young Brazilian, Portuguese guys like they always do, and Jorgen Strand Larsen from Celta Vigo, Norwegian international. So they haven't really done anything. And considering they lost not only Pedro Neto, but also Max Kilman in defence as well, he's gone to West Ham. I worry for Wolves, I probably should have considered them a bit more when we were doing our predictions last week for relegation stuff, because unless they go out there and get a few players now, I worry about their defence, and I worry about that attack without Pedro Neto. Although, I will say, in terms of talent, he might be number one out of their front line. But in terms of actual performance last season and output, he was probably the bottom. Because I do think, like you said, Matheus Cunha had some mad spree where he was just banging in goals everywhere. And his general overall performance was really good before that anyway. So the goals was all he was missing. And Hwang Hee-chan obviously was scoring goals as well. So I don't think Neto will be maybe as big a miss as Kilman. I think Kilman's the big one. I think they're going to struggle in defence. And that was kind of what kind of kept them in the league a bit last season, was their defence was quite hard. But I think you guys are going to be able to penetrate it, and I think you'll win quite comfortably in the end. So I'm going to go for Arsenal win 3-0, and I think Wolves again, like Fulham, a decent first team to have in terms of the fixtures at home on Saturday, and I think the Emirates will be bumping, and you'll be singing your little song. And Arteta will be jumping up and down like a madman, and I think you'll win 3-0. So I think it'll be more comfortable than maybe you're predicting, just because I think this Wolves is a bit different to last year's Wolves. If it was last year's Wolves, I hear what you're saying. I think it would be a struggle, and it could even be like a 1-0, 2-1 last minute type situation. But this current Wolves, I don't think are built like that. So I think you're going to win 3-0. We should touch on quickly, Johnson, as well, before we wrap up, our prediction table, our preview score table, or whatever we're going to be doing every week, because I think we should include the Community Shield predictions in there, because it is, it's the first fixture of the season. You went 1-1, Man U win. I went did I go 2-0 or 2-1? I think I went 2-1, right? 2-1 City. So I get 1 point for the result being right, but no points for the score. And yours is weird because you got the score right, but not the result right. Which
I'm getting a point. Don't even try it.
No, you should. To be honest, you should get 2 points for that, because you got the score right, but the result wrong, and the result only gets 1 point, and the score line gets 3 points. So you should get 2 points for that, I think. I don't think we'll ever have that situation happen again until the cup games. But yeah, I think I'm going to be kinder. I think we should give you 2 points. So all right, you're currently in the lead. You've got 2 points, and I've got 1 point. You might see some sort of little table appear on the YouTube video of this clip, and we'll see after this week's results. Hopefully, I'll get back in the lead. But yeah, I'm going to go 3-0 Arsenal.
Okay. All right, so I've gone for 2-0 and you've gone for 3-0. So at least we're both agreed on the fact that Arsenal should keep a clean sheet and beat Wolves. It will be interesting to see with old Gary O'Neill, though, because he's still a good coach. And I think, as you said, they have lost some pretty key people, but they've still kept some pretty key people as well. I can't remember the very short Portuguese player that they had at the end of the season that was really cooking. Can't remember his name off the top of my head. Long hair, looked pretty good for them. They've got him. They've got Nunes, Cunha, still around, and then they've obviously got Hwang Hee-chan as well. So they've still got some pretty good players, but as you said, their defence is going to be a bit weaker this season without Kilman. And we've got to give a shout out to West Ham, by the way. What a transfer window they are having, mate. What's it, Crescencio,
Signing
Somerville?
everyone.
Yeah, they're literally signing everyone. Kilman, Somerville, Fulkrug, Wan-Bissaka. You just said that they've got Fotheringham as their backup goalkeeper now as well. They are doing some madness out here. Tadibo, my God. West Ham might cook.
They get more as well.
They might cook, you know. They might get Europa or Conference next season, you know. It's going to be a weird one, but